mean? I might know the answer to it, but just over explain as much as you need to. I'll kind of see how it works with your spirituality, with the Islam, how Sunni culture and stuff that you teach in your workshops and things too. I checked out.
Okay.
And take the story anywhere you want to go. If I go, this is my easy, Rabia, tell me about the color blue, and you'll go, blue is great, but let me tell you about green. Take the story where you want, because you know your good stories and what you want to talk about.
I actually made a fragrance for the color blue.
I'm psychic. No, I
You
said,
are. Well, you are.
what?
But I was part of a challenge to
Really? Okay, I
design a
would
fragrance
bring up
for the color
stories
blue.
like that. I think that is great.
Yeah.
What does blue
Things like I
smell
don't want to
like?
get into olfactory or the scientific of it. I want to get more into
No.
the cultural and
Oh
like
yeah. No,
fun stuff.
I didn't mean really. I don't want to get
But
into
Yeah.
also feel
science.
free to get within the smell and memory, because that's very much within the
Yeah.
witchcraft world, where a smell will remind you and take you places.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any of that fun Proustian stuff.
Okay. We can talk about that as well. Do you want to
Excellent.
talk about that now or?
No, we'll hold it
Whenever
up.
you want. This will
Okay.
air at the end of the month. So also, if you have anything timely coming up in April,
Yes.
May,
Yeah.
feel free to bring any of that stuff up too.
Yeah, and at the end, I'll say everything and say your social media, your website, and it'll come out Monday, March 31st, and the night before on March 30th, Sunday, Rob will send you a cute little package with little video clips and stuff you can promote, and tell us, what your social media hashtags and stuff are.
Okay.
To the
Well, that's
team.
great. That's a celebratory. That's when the end of Ramadan and when we celebrate Eid. So the end of the
See, so,
lunar. So this is all
so
work. This
yay!
all works out.
Perfect.
It's like magic.
It is.
Uh-oh. All
Uh-oh.
right. Have a great show, everybody. Start whenever
Yes,
you're ready.
and
All right.
happy
Thanks, Rob.
spring equinox. Okay.
Yes. It's the
Oh
equinox.
yes, happy spring equinox.
Yes. Here we go. Hey everybody, this is Patty. Welcome to the Witching Hour. I have a very special guest today. She's a dear friend, and she smells good too. Let me introduce you to my friend, Rabia Homo. Welcome, Rabia. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hi, Patty. I'm so excited to be here, and thank you everyone who's watching.
Yes. Now tell everybody what you do. I'm going to say it wrong because I like to use it. The perfumer. What are you?
Well, I technically it's perfumer, but it could also be fragrance making artist. Some of my friends, because they say perfumer is kind of hard, like something more romantic. How about perfumier? So I
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what
mind being called perfumier every once in a while.
Okay.
But
you're a
perfumer is
perfumier. I
someone,
like
yeah,
that.
it's a perfumier. Is someone who works with different molecules and materials to make fragrances used in different types, from incense making to cosmetic products, hair products, to fine fragrances, what I specialize in, to oils that I make as well, that you know of as well, that I've given to you. And
Yes.
yeah, just any medium. So for me, and my background is I make fragrances for any type of medium that's being used. So even if it's, for example, for a party and you'd like to do something that you could distill in a fog machine or something to give that scent experience, to add to the experience with music, for example, or a movie, I could create something like that, to bottling something or putting it in a candle. So there's many ways to use
And
scent.
you're so Yeah, many ways. And speaking of hair oil, you've gave me the most amazing hair oil. It smells like heaven, and it makes your hair smooth and fabulous. I've had hair oil before, but from the drugstore, from the beauty supply, nothing like
Thank
this.
you so
It just
much.
layers it on. And even your perfume that I have, yeah, again, it doesn't smell like something you're going to get in Macy's or your local fragrance store. It's a richness to it. I don't know. It's very earthy and magical. So that's why you had to do my show.
Well, I'm so excited, and thank you so much for all the compliments and kind words about the fragrances that I gifted you. Looking back, for example, the oils that I created, that was owed to the full moon. So I thought about, the rituals that we have working with sage and other materials, and then the benefits of applying it to both skin and hair. So I recall it having cardamom and sage and bergamot aspects to it, which helps your hair be soft and your skin as well. And then the fragrance I made, as a perfumer, I'm also seen as an artist. So how I make fragrances are based on my own memories and the way a painting is done. You can't replicate a painting. I mean, folks can, or other artists can copy it, but I have a little bit of a unique twist because of the background or just my own taste that it's not, you won't find the fragrances that I make the same as others. It's based off of my own experiences and my own taste.
Yeah, it really is amazing. So have you always been into scent? How did this come about? Because I know you were in the very corporate world for a long time, and it is an art. It is certainly, and it's so magical. How did this come about?
Yes, so in the corporate world, working in technology, but it came about at a young age, being a Muslim Pakistani and growing up around family and celebrating. And it's very cultural where it was important for us during prayers or special occasions to light incense. And I just grew up around fragrances and always loved it. And then I recall even in as a preteen wearing things like exclamation because I love vanilla. And my mom, she had a huge collection of cultural and European fragrances. I remember her telling me that when she came to Canada in the 1970s, her first fragrance purchase was from Chloe. So it's just always been in the family. They've loved it. And it was when I moved to LA in 2016 where the Institute for Art and Olfaction, it's a nonprofit that provides scent culture and workshops where I was like, wow, there's something out there that's accessible for perfume lovers to get into. And I thought when I went there to create a scent for a candle, but when I got there, I was like, wow, I really enjoy fragrance making. Why not take it to the next level and become a perfumer? So it's been almost a decade, like 2025. I think 2016 was it was just a short period ago, but it's been almost a decade.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And last year, I know you had a project. Tell us about your Purple Rain project, because I think that's pretty amazing.
That was back in 2023. I was commissioned by Dub Lab, an indie radio station, and the Institute for Art and Olfaction, where I was a student but also a board member. They did a set of fragrances that were to celebrate songs in the modern music industry, and I was given the task of doing a fragrance that would celebrate Prince's Purple Rain, which has notes of, when I think about Purple Rain, I always think about him on his motorcycle, driving through the rain with the forest in the background, and because he was from Minnesota, so I just imagine that landscape with his girlfriend in the movie and thinking about their post date, the day after. So it has the smoky elements of tobacco in it, leather from his jacket, and some vanilla, because vanilla is an aphrodisiac smell. So I incorporated that as well with some purple flowers and fruit. So it's a beautiful fragrance, but has definitely great has great sillage to it. So it's very long lasting, and it's actually available at Mocha. If
Yay,
anyone's
that's
interested in LA,
amazing.
it's available online at Dub Lab, or it's available at Mocha. But it's part of a box set. So there's other fragrances, beautiful fragrances from other perfumers, that are my colleagues as well, that participated in this project.
So that's fabulous. So when you're going to create a scent, maybe I know you do custom scents for people, for either for companies or for personal people. I mean, because I know how intuitive you are. Like you said, you're picturing Prince with leather jacket and out in the thing. How do you just kind of work with spirit inside out? Do you work with traditional plants and herbs and flowers? How does that? It's like if you go into the kitchen to cook something, how do you go into the kitchen, the non-kitchen, to create this fragrance?
That's a good question. And as an artist, I get motivation from many things. And for example, if we talk about scent memory, when you look at certain objects or a special occasion or a song, there's usually something related to it that you've experienced that you relate to it. The olfactive, as they say, olfactory experience that you tie into. So it depends. So for example, I was given my actual very first project when I was at the Institute for Art and Olfaction. I entered a challenge about a story about an exorcism in France where the story is, and it's a true story. I don't have the name on me currently, but the fragrance is based off of exorcisms that were happening at this convent. So I created a fragrance that I just pictured a convent with gray clouds when I think about the exorcism, and a rose garden, but the roses are dry and spewed across the stone. And I was able to emulate that in a fragrance. So I created a fragrance that had a gold, kind of like a cold stone effect, but also you could smell the sweetness of the rose. And that was featured at Scent Week in LA. That I was able
Wow.
to tell that story through the fragrance.
That's amazing. Was it called Exorcism? I mean, my paranormal world would love that.
Yeah. I can forward the details after, but the story. Do you mind if I pause and look up that story right now? Is it okay for me to look it
Sure.
up?
Sure.
Let me just quickly pull up my history that I have here.
Yeah, that sounds interesting, especially for my paranormal group and stuff.
Yeah, I think you would find that for sure interesting. Let me pick it up. But and then another project that I had, another challenge that I had entered was there was a project on a node to LA, and so it was, what do you think about LA, or specifically Hollywood? So I thought about, well, sex, drugs, music. So I was able to create a fragrance that had a powdery smell with, I thought, leather and boozy, and that was captured pretty successful. When people smelt it, they could
Wait a
tell that
second. Wait a
this.
second. Wait a second. The phone's ringing in. That's a good story. So start that again when my stupid phone stops.
Okay.
It's
In the
not as
mean,
loud as it usually is when I'm sitting at my desk, but
Well, she was
that's
just
the
looking
point
up
here.
the
okay, I'm going to look this up anyways. I'm going to quickly pull up my
Okay.
biography. I
And then you can
apologize.
go back to the LA
we'll
story.
start there.
Okay, let me just find my. Of course, I'm nervous right now, so I'm
You're
taking a
doing great.
second.
You're perfect. It's just me. And Rob's great.
Okay.
I need to come back to Canada. I broke out my Turkish wallet because I stuffed too much weird stuff that isn't money
Oh,
into
you know
it.
what?
Like
Because I'm
what?
coming in May. Because I'm coming in May. Let me know, and I can pick it up for you.
Okay,
I
well,
can pick a couple up.
I might, it might be too delicate for my taste, but I love it. I'm going to keep it. I just can't use it as my day-to-day wallet because I've overstuffed it,
Okay,
but I
so
love it.
I found the perfume challenge. So
Okay.
at the Institute, okay, so I'll start all over. My very first fragrance that I created was at the Institute for Art and Olfaction, and I entered this challenge that was inspired by the Loudun possession story. And the story was about these exorcisms that were happening with these nuns. Unfortunately, it is a true story, and you can see it, you can read about it in Wikipedia. But the fragrance that I created had elements of the cold stone that I imagine would be the stairs of the church or the convent, and then the roses, thinking about what would that atmosphere look like, that exorcism, or walking in and seeing, the fog outside and the roses being dry and on the ground against the stone with the cool wind. So I was able to emulate that experience in a fragrance, which was highlighted at the 2019 Scent Fair Scent Fair in Los
That's
Angeles.
that's amazing. That is good. So you had mentioned when we were not on air something about like a scent for Los Angeles.
Yes. So there was another challenge that I had entered about creating a fragrance celebrating Hollywood. What do you think about Hollywood? And for me, I was still new at the time when I had moved to LA and I lived in Hollywood. I thought about the vanilla aspect of sex. As I mentioned before, vanilla is considered an aphrodisiac. So I thought about vanilla and the smell of leather because of thinking about the Viper Club, the Rainbow Room, like Johnny Depp and Guns N' Roses, like that whole groupie vibe that was happening, and then just the powderiness of it, and then the smoking that was, when smoking was more popular back in the day. So I was able to create that experience to celebrate Hollywood, which was a proud moment for me as well.
That's awesome. Perfect Hollywood.
Yes.
Sex and smoke and also when we said something before we went on air, I said something about blue, and you go, "Are you and you did a scent for blue? How would you make a scent to
That was
represent?"
so coincidental that you brought that up, that you asked, about the color blue, which is, you are an intuitive and you know that. So we were given the challenge of, here's the color blue, write a story about it. And some people would think right away, okay, I think about the sea, or they have their own experience. For me, when I thought about it, I thought in a way, because I like to have a little bit of a ritualistic or good luck or positive experiences related to cultural aspects, whether it's New Age, witchcraft, Islam, other cultures. I thought about lapis, the stone lapis. In the mountains, for example, on the Silk Road, in the Afghan mountains, out in the Himalayan mountains, what that would smell like. So again, I created something that had that stonish smell with a little bit of dirt mixed in it and rain. I was able to replicate that, and that was my story of how I envision blue.
I think that's beautiful. So if somebody is so somebody's going, and again, they're not a perfumer or perfumier, and they're going, you know how some people, their scent is like, you notice certain people, their scent fits them. Say I'm a girl and I don't have a scent because I have your scent, but say I didn't have your scent. How is the best way, you as a professional perfumer, how does somebody pick? Do you go, this smells good to me? Is what smells good to you the best one for you? Or is there a science or an art to this?
I know that in the industry it's normal for a lot of perfumers, they'll ask, well, what do you already wear and what do you enjoy? I try to introduce new fragrances or new experiences. So I'll take a little bit of a time out to get to know the person that I'm speaking to find out what is it that they like, what their lifestyle is. I might get a little bit of a gist for it. So for example, if I'm creating a fragrance, for example, the one I gifted you, that one was created on the full moon, just before spring. So it fit my background in goth and witch and vampirism. So when I created it and I gifted it to you, and I've also let other people smell it in that community, it resonated with them because it's something that's a common smell or a profile that that group admires. So if someone tells me, "Oh, I love the smell of the beach," there is one friend of mine that she commissioned a fragrance for me, and I brought some over, a couple that I already had, and she smelled the one that smelled like the beach, and she said, "This reminds me of my childhood growing up by the beach. I love this one," just through the conversion. And I've done enough fragrances that they're different profiles that I'll let I'll let that person or people smell those fragrances first and see what their inclinations are. And they'll share, "Oh, this reminds me of this," or "This reminds me of that," and we go from there. Or it's just, for example, another fragrance I created called Serpentine that I gave to Sebastian, Father
Mhm.
Sebastian, and it has a little bit of a gas kerosene smell along with a musk and woods, and it just suits him. It's I think an intuitive aspect as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's probably a huge intuitive aspect. Now, if does somebody give you attributes like, I want to smell happy or sexy or sensuous or smart? I mean, do you like in witchcraft and spellcrafting, different flowers, different herbs, different oils have these different attributes? Do you work off of that, or are you just going pure intuition? This means this to me.
It's a mix of that. So I go with materials that I think are sexy and that I think would be considered smart, uh, similar to witchcraft, where it's known, for example, sage as a spiritual note. I use
Mhm.
sage for my spiritual fragrances. So it's dependent. It's based off of a broad range of reasons why I could use it, or cultural reasons, ritualistic, or just on my own scent memory of how I relate with that. If someone says, for example, rose, I had a hard time developing a relationship with rose because I used to think about rose powder more English, talc powder. I wasn't really a fan of it. It took some time for me to embrace rose when I started mixing it with oud and wood and cinnamon, vanilla, other scents. I was able to see, oh, it doesn't have to smell like grandma. Because because growing up with my grandmother, you put the talc powder on. I remember wearing that. I don't remember what the brand is from England. Everyone had it. So every grandmother was wearing it. So I didn't have a good relationship with rose, but it was working with it. I had to develop it and work with it in a way that it became sexy to me, which is now the fragrance that you wear. It has a
Oh,
sexy
well, and
element
it's
to it.
sexy.
It's sexy.
It is said, you talk about memory because we do, when, again, if I'm doing what I do, I'm doing a seance, a waft will come in and people will go, oh my God, that is the smell of grandma, whether it's
Yeah,
coming from the ether. So that olfactory thing tips right into our emotions, right? To our memories.
that's right. So the olfactive experience, yes, the more you live life and experience it, or the more you'll have a relationship with fragrances. If you sit at home and you have an environment that's very vanilla, you're going to be attracted to just the vanilla basic fragrances that you relate to. But if you go out, you're going to the park, you're out for spring equinox, you're out during the winter, you're out in the fall smelling the cinnamon for Halloween and all that. As your scent memory increases, also your openness to try fragrances as well.
That's good. So how do seasons play into your work and what you create, or holidays or sacred holidays and different belief systems and stuff? We are taping this on the spring equinox. It's going to air in a week or two from that. Does that play into what you create?
It does. It's really fitting. I wasn't really into the lunar calendar in regards to, oh, it's the equinox and but when I moved to LA, so the one thing I loved about LA is, I'm a practicing Muslim and we have a lunar calendar. So when I moved to LA, I was so happy to see so many different cultures and groups that celebrated various occasions based off of the moon. So as I embraced those cultures and rituals, I also inherited the fragrance profiles as well. So my love, for example, the fragrance that I created for you, as I had mentioned earlier, was based off of the full moon. It was the spring equinox. And I was sitting in Chinatown, downtown. I still remember I was sitting outside the Institute for Art and Olfaction, and there's a garden outside. There's a couple of shops that have that are selling flowers. So that soft smell and the cool air, and then looking up at the moon and thinking about the colors that came to me, purple and musk. And I was thinking about the woods that come from that as the trees are blooming, and the soil that comes from the earth. That inspired me to create the fragrance that you wear, which is called Manifest,
Yes. And
because
it's
spring is
fast.
also a time to manifest. And then I have other fragrances, for example, Rain Noir, which is based off of a, it's based off of it's a lustful scent based off of couples, lovemaking. It
Oh, how
has a scent of
fabulous.
rain and it smells like skin. It's an experience. So I think for me, fragrances are experiences in the universe. It could be in a ritual, it could be a relationship, it could be your relationship with it could be based off of a lover. I actually have a fragrance that was based off of meeting a lover 20 years ago, and our experience of sharing tea together. That experience is in a bottle. So there's many stories that have inspired how I create fragrances, and that's why you're not going to smell the same as the other brands, because it's based off of my own personal experience in the universe.
I think that's beautiful. So how do things go in and out? Because you mentioned all the grandmas were wearing this from there. Is there in pulp culture, do certain kind of things, now we're into spicy and now we're into floral, or does that have anything to do with things, or
It
just not?
does. So the last couple of, I also follow, or being a perfumer, we have our industry publications as well. So the consumers love gourmand smells. So gourmand are sweet, cookie-ish, comforting smells. And I think the way the world is, or the way people are looking for a smell that envelops them and makes them feel cozy, and kind of the way vanilla is an aphrodisiac, that vanilla cookie caramel smell, people are gravitating towards those soft smells right now. But it's all up to the individual. In in um, in the world of an Eastern culture in the East, in Dubai and Southeast countries and whatnot, Islamic countries, there's a huge trend in oud. Oud is agarwood, which is a resin, and it's incorporated in a lot of fragrances. It's very expensive, so there's also what we call oud accord or synthetics, which smell like. So it's a mix of other materials to smell or give the perception of wood. So that culture, that demand, now coming to the West as well. So a lot of European brands are now incorporating oud in their fragrances, so they like a lot of the spicy woodsy aspects as well. So I think it's all up to personal, what you like personally. But I know, for example, there are brands that people wear them because it's popular.
Yeah. Right. Right.
It's their
Which
preference.
I would not wear something because it's popular.
But being in the Institute for Art, like the being in Los Angeles and being part of the perfume scene, they call it the independent perfume or the indie perfume scene. There's a lot of independent perfumers like myself who didn't go to Gross for education, who are self-taught or were educated here in North America, and we create smaller batches and develop a closer relationship with the end consumer because we're able to make something that's more relatable or tells a story that they have an immersive experience versus something that's available at a Macy's or a large corporation. So there is a trend that people are like, I want to have my own experience. I don't want everybody else wearing the same thing. That for sure is a trend. But at the same time, they're like, I love this warm, cozy smell right now. But there's also the spicy aspect as well. But I'm seeing a huge because of the Silk Road, a lot of the fragrances and materials came from China through the Silk Road from that aspect. And then it went to Europe, it came to Europe. And now with a lot of people or globalization and a lot of people traveling, when they come back, they are asking for, I want that Turkish fragrance that I smelled or the one in Saudi Arabia. So those fragrance brands are now available in North America. It's pretty cool to see. You'll even find them at a Marshall's now, these brands. It's pretty cool that people are open-minded and embracing these fragrances.
That is amazing. So is there something that do you have a challenge that you want to create a scent on something, or is there anything that you're like, wow, I want to create this, or just you create as you go?
I create as I go. It depends on my motivation or what's inspiring me at the time. So it's really important on a personal level for me to live a life that, I'm not just sitting in a lab and working, but I like to go out and enjoy myself, go to the gardens or go out with, go and have these experiences that help me. It could be a walk, for example, the walks that we go on in Hollywood. And, if we come across a deer, think about the musk because, I mean, it's illegal now, but deer used to, we used to sell their musk, but I can create a synthetic musk that could go, for example, with the trees that inspire me or remind me of the walks that we used to go on in the mornings in Hollywood. So
yeah. Oh, I love that. And it sounds very romantic. It's very romantic career. I like that. So
it's similar. It's just like a painter where painters get their inspirations from, they have muses. You see a lot of painters that, I created this art piece based off of this muse. It could be I have a fragrance that's based off a couple of muses. I have fragrances that are based off just my own personal experience, or like we were saying, the full moon or talking to you, and when me and you met and we were talking, I'm like, I can see you wearing Manifest. It was perfect. And you love it. And our other mutual friend, Serpentine, perfect.
Perfect. I know. I'm glad you're coming to LA. So, what do you have coming up that people, well, a couple of things. What do you have coming up that people could actually experience you live and nationwide, or even on video or something? And then tell people where they can find you and your scents.
So I'm currently living in Canada at the moment, but I will be visiting Los Angeles for a couple of weeks in May. And as I mentioned a couple of times during our interview or get together today, our conversation today, let me start all over. um, so I'll be coming to LA in May. And as I mentioned, the Institute for Art and Olfaction, who created the indie fragrance scene in Los Angeles, they're having their 11th, I think it's their 11th anniversary. And every year they have the Institute in Art and Olfaction every year have their Art and Olfaction Awards, which invites indie perfumers to wherever they're located. This year is in Los Angeles. Last year they were in Lisbon. The year before that, every other year they're in LA, but we had a chance to have our awards in Miami. They've been in Germany. But this year, we're going to be in LA for the last week, May 24th to June 1st. And I'll be having a workshop for scent culture in Islam. And we'll be talking about the ritualistic aspects and removing, the black magic, or how to manifest, how to remove negativity, and how it's relatable to other cultures as well. And I'll talk about materials that are in the holy texts and how we use them today. And I'm really excited about that. And we'll be having some snacks and talks, and we'll start the class off with a prayer and a little bit of a ritual and breathing before we get into the fragrances, and then we'll have time to also check out the fragrances. I'll hopefully have my fragrances there for everyone to try, and hopefully they'd want to purchase as well.
Yes, that sounds like I would love. Again, that's bringing the magic, but you are pure magic into it, like getting rid of bad energies and bringing in good, that spiritual, magical. So is that something public can go to?
Yes. So I'm
Oh.
going to be posting the event at the end of this week. So if you follow my Instagram, Rubia_Huma, RUBIA_HOMA, those details should be provided soon. And tickets are for sale, and they're available. And hopefully, I think there'll be a good attendance. Make sure to buy them quickly because they're going to sell out. But in the coming weeks, so it'll be May 25th from 11 to 2 o'clock on a Sunday.
That is amazing. And we're trying to do something too. It's not right put together, right? We're trying
Yes,
to do.
so tentative. I was just speaking to our mutual friend on it, but hopefully we can do a fragrance talk and experience, I guess, immersive experience on New Age and witchcraft and manifestation and moving negativity. So I'm really excited about that. Where we'll talk about fragrance materials that we use in rituals, to use in manifestation and removing negativity. And I'll hopefully have my fragrances there as well for people to check out and smell and hopefully want to engage with. But I'm really excited that, the same thing, I would love for you to start it off with a ritual as well. And it's just the time in this world where everyone's just looking for positivity. And I just love having these experiences available for people to immerse themselves in a positive way as a community.
Yeah, we need it. It's a scary world. So we need the positivity and we need the empowerment. Again, the empowerment of the scent to make you feel good and everything. That's everything right now. And I get wanting to be warm and cozy and a little spicy. I think we need it all right now. So I will be posting that too. As soon as that's all confirmed, I will post both of those for you. Again, you guys have to meet Rabia. She's the most amazing. I can't wait to see you again. Last time I saw you, I was your way. You actually took I don't know where I was, Virginia maybe, and I crossed the border, brought my and we
You were in Buffalo,
there,
and then you crossed the border to Niagara Falls. And
yes,
we did our ritual around the tree. Remember, we did that beautiful walk on Niagara Falls by the garden.
It was amazing. We did our cult of the cone, which is our secret. No, around a tree, and it was great. So I can't wait to see you soon. So you guys, again, your website. Tell everybody one more time.
I have a website, Rubia Huma, RUBIAHOMA, RubiaHuma.com. My Instagram, RUBIA_HOMA. And yes, so I'll hopefully when I'm in LA, I'll have my fragrance line available for everyone to check out. And also, if you go online and see So not only do I create fragrances, but I also teach workshops such as the ones that I'm hosting in May. But I also do brand experiences. So for example, for example, I work with brands in conveying, as we were talking about. You have the visual aspect, like as an artist, but I work with company, for example. Sorry, let me start all over.
You're doing great.
Okay. So I have three aspects of perfumery that I focus on. So first is fragrance making, two is workshops, and then three is brand experiences. So for example, in Hollywood, I was asked by Nissan to create fragrances that convey the message of driving on different landscapes. So people would come in and smell that fragrance and picture themselves driving the new Nissan car by the beach or through the rain or through the snow. So it's another aspect of helping you with your branding that you could bring at a higher level, that you're not only tapping into, for example, music for hearing or vision for your eye, like a piece of art, but now you're also using your sense of smell and creating that scent memory, tapping into your scent memory to connect with that brand or that product or service as well.
It smells like sounds like spellcraft to me. Again, the
Yeah.
perfumer or perfumier's version of what I do in that manifest. I just taught a class like 2 days ago on elemental magic, and I said how important scent was to everything that we're doing, along with our sound and herbs and oils. And so that's hand in hand. So you guys, any last words you have for anybody before we go? I can't wait for people to just follow you and meet you.
Well, I'm so excited that you had me here and I was able to share my journey with you. And you were part of my fragrance making journey as well. You know, you wear my fragrances and oils, and I really appreciate you embracing the scent culture that I have. And I'm so excited to hopefully, work for us to have that event in May or June. We were looking at June 3rd.
Yes.
That's right.
June 3rd.
So
June 3rd. Yes. So
June 3rd.
we will
Hopefully
go
that's
promote
happening.
it.
It's in the book. It's not in the books yet, but hopefully it'll happen. Hopefully we can manifest it and make it happen. Or
Yeah.
else for sure, June 25th, the Islamic culture workshop will be happening. But
May 25th.
sorry, May 25th. Yes, May 25th. But just look out on my Instagram, social media, and I'll keep you updated on those events and the release of my fragrances. They're almost done, and hopefully I can get to the US safe and sound from Canada and meet everyone. And if anyone has any questions, just DM me or email me. I'm happy to chat if anyone has any special requests or would like to know my background more. So thank you, Patty, for having me.
Thank you, Rabia. Thank you. And I will see you soon.
Yes.
Thank you for
Take
bringing your
care.
magic, your beautiful magic, to the witching hour.
Thank you. Bye.
Great. We're going to do a quick commercial. Patty, you want to run her through the commercial?
Yes. We're going to say this week on the witching hour, we have blank, blank. Rabia Huma. And then I'm going to say, what are we going to talk about this week, Rabia? And you could say in 3 or 4 lines, the art of being a perfumer or creating scents or bringing magic, whatever you want to say, 3 or 4 lines. And how do you want me to introduce you? Perfumer and artist?
Perfumer and artist is perfect.
Okay,
Perfumer and artist. Yeah.
Okay, Rabia Huma. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what are we going to talk about, Rabia? And again, it's not live. We're good.
Yeah.
So, and you did great. So, hey, everybody. This week on the Witching Hour, we have artist and perfumer and dear friend, Rabia Huma. What are we going to talk about this week,
Hi.
Rabia?
We're going to be talking about what is a perfumer? What do I do? How do I create these smells? What are the inspirations behind it? How do I engage or tell my story or tell your story? So we'll talk about the olfactory, our memory, how we tap into memory, and some of the projects I'm working on and events that are upcoming in Los Angeles.
It's definitely magic. Don't miss the Witching Hour.